In this exercise, we're going to take that last arc that we drew that looks nothing like it belongs to a heart, and we're going to modify it so that it looks exactly like the left half of a heart using these things known as control handles inside of Illustrator, one of the most powerful features inside of the software, as you'll see. I've gone ahead and saved my progress as lumpyhalfheart.ai, found inside the 04 line art folder. And notice that my most recent arc is selected. I'm now going to modify it. Now, you have two tools for modifying things inside of Illustrator. One's the selection tool, which I call the black arrow tool, and one's called the direct selection tool, which I call the white arrow tool. The black arrow tool selects big things. The white arrow tool selects small things. The black arrow tool you get by pressing the V key, which is an upside down arrow. The white arrow tool you get by pressing the A key, which is a right side up arrow, and also, of course, A stands for arrow. Now, if I wanted to manipulate the entire arc independently of the rest of the illustration, then I would select the black arrow tool, and I would drag that arc to a different location like so. That's one of the things I could do anyway. I could also drag the arc, press the Alt or Option key, and then drop it into place in order to duplicate it. So there's a variety of things I can do with this black arrow tool, but I can't reshape the path, which is what I need to do at this point. So I'm going to press Control-Z, Control-Z. That's Command-Z a couple of times on the Mac. And I'm going to switch to the white arrow tool, which gives me control over the individual anchor points and control handles in my path. And you know what? Just to cut down on the screen clutter here, I'm going to press Control semicolon or Command semicolon on the Mac to temporarily hide those guides. And I'm going to click off of my path to deselect it. And then I'll click anywhere on this bottom lump right here along its path outline in order to select it. So, for example, if I click in the middle, and you can see that I am clicking on something because I have a little square next to my cursor. If I click at this location, then I'll see two little square anchor points at either end of my arc. And I'll also see these control handles, which are both circular and hanging off the edge of these levers. Now, the anchor points actually anchor down the path. The path has to pass through those anchor points. Notice if I move an anchor point to a different location, then the path outline moves along with it. I'll go ahead and press Control-Z or Command-Z on the Mac to undo that modification because I want these anchor points to be exactly where they are. Whereas the control handles have a kind of gravity associated with them, a kind of magnetic attraction. And you use these levers in order to bend the lines in different directions. So I'm going to move one of my levers up like this. And notice by moving it to the other side of the path, I bend the path upward into more or less the shape of a heart. Now, I'm not completely pleased with this half heart yet. I think this down lump right there is too big. So I'm going to drag this lever toward the anchor point. Notice that these things come out of the anchor points. And we're going to see lots more examples of control handles and anchor points in subsequent exercises and chapters. But for now, notice if I drag this guy away from the anchor point, I draw the curve toward me, and I also make the path lumpier. If I move it back toward the anchor point, I move the curve inward, and I also make it more shallow. Now, what I want is something in between, and I'm going to go ahead and press the Shift key in order to constrain my drag directly up and down like so. And I'm going to move my anchor point up to about here. So I'm just shaving off the curve ever so slightly. And then I'm going to drag this guy back a little bit too. I'm going to take him about to this location. I think looks pretty good. And if you want to get a sense of what I'm up to vis-a-vis the guides, I'll go ahead and press Control semicolon once again, Command semicolon on the Mac. And you can get a sense now of how far down the guides I am. I didn't create a specific guide intersection for these control handles. I'm letting you freeform it a little bit because you may want some slightly different results. But that is how I managed to modify this curve right here to make it look more like a classic Valentine heart.